So now we're going to talk about playing at the frog. And this is the less comfortable place to play in the bow for several reasons. One being that there's a lot of weight, a lot of natural weight at the frog. You have the weight of your hand, and that creates more opportunities for getting this kind of sound. It's also a little less comfortable for the fingers, okay? But it just takes special practice time, getting used to playing up here or down here, and once you're comfortable with that, then it will make legato playing, slurred playing, utilizing the whole bow much easier. So I want to start by just assuming the position of the frog position. So what I want you to do is just literally make a bow hold and just place the bow right near the hand. I mean, almost to the silver part, but right about an inch from the ferrule. That silver part is called the ferrule. And just place that on the A string. And we're going to try to get, okay, those right angles. We're going to try to get perpendicular to the strings and tap all those fingers, okay? We want to make sure that you start with a very relaxed hand. And what we're going to do from here is I just want you to move now, okay? Before we were moving from the elbow, now we're just going to move from the shoulder, okay? So we're just going to literally move a little bit here, right here at the shoulder, okay? We're just going to move it back and a little forward, back and a little forward, because that's all we do when we're playing at the frog. I mean, that's all we do here with the arm. We're not opening and closing the elbow at this point. So we're just going to put the bow right there close to our hand and just scoot a little bit with the shoulder. And just scoot back up to the hand. And the whole time, make sure those fingers are curved, they're relaxed. Because it's not comfortable, because it's a little more awkward, the tendency is to grip harder, okay? You're not in danger of dropping the bow because you have the violin right there ready to support it, okay? But you're just going to scoot and back and forth here at the shoulder, okay? Now, once you get down far enough, about a third of the way down, now the elbow comes into play. Now we start opening the elbow. But from about this last third or last quarter of the bow all the way to the frog, we're just moving here from the shoulder. So it's good to just really get used to that, okay? And I like to start there first rather than starting here and then moving up, okay? So once you have this, what I want you to do is just to start noticing the wrist angle, So if your wrist were to be straight, okay, and when we're at the middle of the bow, the wrist is relatively straight. If you were to keep that straightness there right in the wrist and put your hand at the frog, okay, the bow's going to go very crooked, all right? The tip is going to go right back. It's going to hit you in the head. So in order to keep that bow moving straight, all right, to keep the right angles, that wrist has to come up a little bit. Okay, we bend a little bit the wrist, and one way you can do that, to bend that, is just to rotate the bow over, to tilt the bow away from you. Tilt the bow a little bit toward the scroll. And what that does, it serves two purposes. One, sort of gets that wrist at the proper level, the proper angle, and also to take away some of the hair, the amount of hair that's touching the string. And we have to do that when we're at the frog. If we use all the hair at the frog, it's just too much. It's too much hair, too much weight, too much pressure, and you'll get that kind of sound. So when we tilt away, and this tilting, again, is sort of serves the purpose of bringing the wrist higher. Okay, then we have the appropriate amount of hair on the strings. So rotate away from you a little bit, okay, so that you're leaning the bow toward the outer edge here of the bow hair. Tilt and then just move back and forth. And do this until you get a pretty decent amount of sound. Okay, and it's always okay and it's always a good idea to go back and just practice without the violin. I'm going to get my, my little homemade bow simulator here. And just to do this again, because, you know, again, it sort of takes away the stress of having to make that quality sound right from the beginning, takes away a little bit of the frustration level. And then you can do the same thing here. Just move the bow here at the frog and then look at that wrist level. Okay, now let's get to the point where we open the elbow. Okay, so we're going to start going down bow, and once we move here, this part of the arm is going to stop. Okay, this part of the arm will become still. All right, so even though we initiate, we start opening here at the shoulder, it doesn't keep going, right? If it keeps going, then the bow is going to go in this path. So it stops, and now we just open the elbow. So back in it goes, stop, open at the elbow, okay? Go back, open at the elbow. And then just feel what the wrist is doing. Do this many, 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 many times, okay, until it becomes very natural. As I go to the frog again, I'm rotating away a little bit, okay, and that brings my wrist a little bit higher, which needs to happen so the bow keeps going straight, okay. You can go back to violin, but that's essentially playing at the frog. And again, always, 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 although there's a million things to think about, still always thinking about the bow hold and making sure that bow hold stays very loose, that you're not gripping, you're not squeezing with your hand. As soon as there's excess tension, excess holding, too much gripping, you will start to get a little bounce in the bow. The bow is going to start to sound nervous. It's going to do that, okay? So if my fingers are just relaxed, literally laying there on top of the stick, which is just laying on top of the strings, and I'm just moving arm. Okay, just get that sound. And again, notice I am only doing this on open strings. I'm not adding fingers. Establishing that healthy sound, the bow trajectory, the right angles, the proper postures for that bow hold and that bow arm is so important in starting. You will be able, everything else will come very easily with the left, well, relatively easy with the left hand. So just practice bowing at the frog, and then do that guided practice, bowing at the tip and the frog, and then we'll be starting to incorporate the whole bow stroke.